What is a chordate? So chordates are animals that have four morphological features at some point in their lives. So either as adults or in their larvae form. They have pharyngeal gill slits, a dorsal hollow nerve cord, a notochord, and a postanal tail. The, the phylum Chordata is made up of three major lineages that are known as subphyla. So this includes the cephalochordates, the urochordates, and the vertebrates. The cephalochordates are these animals here. That includes the lancelets, and the urochordates are the tunicates, these animals here. The cephalochordates, which again include the lancelets, and those are also known as amphioxus. These are small torpedo-shaped animals that look like fishes, but they're not fish. They're mainly suspension feeders, and as adults, they live at the bottom of the ocean floor, where they burrow in sand and suspension feed using their little tentacles that they have at the tip of their mouths to kind of draw the water in, and then it's filtered in their gill slits. The dorsal hollow nerve cord, this runs parallel to their notochord, so this gives their body both support, okay, and also structure because it does allow the body to stiffen at times. And when they have muscle contractions on either side, it gives them kind of like a fish-like movement. So here's a diagram of an amphioxus, okay, or the cephalochordate. So you have the dorsal hollow nerve cord, okay, running throughout the body. You have the notochord that also runs from the head to the tail, and then the gill slits, and then the postanal tail. So postanal because it runs past the anus here. And again, these animals are filter feeders, so they draw water in using those tentacles that they have at the mouth, and then it filters through the gill slits, then it exits. Okay. The urochordates or the tunicates, these animals have an external coat of polysaccharide. That's a tunic. That's why they're called tunicates. And this gives them support, you know, and also covers their bodies. In Urochordata, there's three major sublineages. There's the sea squirts, the salps, and then the larvaceans. So tunicates in the adult form do not have all four features of chordates. The only thing that they have are the pharyngeal gill slits because they are also filter feeders. But they do have these features in their larval form. Okay? So the dorsal hollow nerve cord, the notochord, the pharyngeal gill slits, okay, and then the postanal tail. Vertebrates include things like hagfish and lampreys. So these are parasitic, parasitic fish-like things. Okay, a lamprey would be like something you could see that latches on to, you know, to like a bigger animal like a whale, and kind of lives as a parasite throughout its life. Okay, it just kind of hangs on and it goes along for the ride as it absorbs nutrients from the bigger animal. You have the sharks and the rays, the bony fishes, amphibians, mammals, and reptiles and birds. So these have a dorsal hollow nerve cord that is now called the spinal cord. And the pharyngeal pouches that are present in embryos develop into the gills for the aquatic species. Okay. In vertebrates, the notochord develops in all embryos. Okay, but it's the vertebral column and not the notochord that functions in body support as well as movement. The notochord does help organize the body plan in early development by secreting proteins uh, that cause the formation of tissues that are called somites. Okay, so somites are blocks of tissue that later differentiate into things like the vertebrae, the ribs, the the back muscles, and limbs. Okay, so here you can see the embryo of a vertebrate still has those four features: the dorsal hollow nerve cord that'll develop into the spinal cord. You have the notochord, okay, that develops into the vertebrae, and also the back muscles, the rib cage, etc. Then you have the muscular postanal tail, which is not present in all vertebrates, right? Like humans. So vertebrates are a monophyletic group that are distinguished by two synapomorphies. The vertebrae, which protects the spinal cord. It has the column of cartilaginous bony structures. Okay. You have the cranium, which protects the brain and a lot of the sensory organs. And then, so together, the vertebrae and the cranium uh, protect the central nervous system and their key sensory structures. The vertebrate brains are divided into three regions. You have the forebrain, which is mainly involved in the sense of smell. You have the midbrain, which is involved or mainly involved in the sense of vision. And then the hindbrain is involved in like having the sense of balance as well as the sense of hearing. Okay. All living vertebrates have those three brain regions, but the structure and the functions of the regions have evolved over time. In jawed vertebrates, the hindbrain consists of enlarged regions that is called the cerebellum and also the medulla oblongata. Part of the forebrain became elaborated into a large structure called the cerebrum. Okay, so that would be the big brain. Um, especially this is especially true in animals like birds and mammals. And the evolution of the large three-part brain protected by a hard cranium was a key innovation in the vertebrate evolution. Okay. The most species-rich and ecologically diverse are the ray fin fishes and the tetrapods. Ray fin fishes are things like, pretty much all the fish that you can think of, like goldfish, tuna, salmon, and their fins are supported by bony rods. So these are also called the bony fishes. And then the other most diverse are the tetrapods, which includes reptiles, amphibians, and mammals. And these are the ones that include large herbivores and predators in the terrestrial environments. So here you have a pie chart of the relative species abundance among the living vertebrates. So you can see that the ray fin fishes have a lot of diversity, as well as the tetrapods. Okay, tetrapods. I mean, the amphibians, the snakes and lizards, and the birds are all pretty diverse. Okay, okay. Um, but yeah, it's mainly made up of the half of it is made up of the bony fishes. So these would be like the common fish that you would see in aquariums. Okay, because the sharks and the rays make up a small slice of that. Okay, so we'll pause here and then we'll continue on the next video.